I'm excited for another opportunity to discuss all the different things that we like to discuss on this particular show, Solicited Advice. I love meeting new people, connecting with them, and learning new things that I can incorporate into my daily routine or to my business or what have you. So, I want to thank you for joining me today. I am your host, LaChelle Adkins, also known as America's Supermom. Why America's Supermom? Because I have 15 children. Not all of them still live at home, of course. It's nine of the 15 that live at home, and we still have three that are school age, two high schoolers and one middle schooler. So we are quickly making the transition to maybe empty nest. I don't know. We have seven grandkid children and one on the way. So I just think we're just always going to have lots of people running in and out of our household. I'm just waiting for the day where I just get to sit back, relax, and not do any cooking. Okay. So even though I have some adult children that are living here, going to college or whatever, I'm still doing a lot of the cooking. So we're waiting for the days for that to change. So I want to thank you, April, for joining. So we did have a guest scheduled for today. And, technology is just not always your friend. So you just have to roll with it. So we have our guest who is going to be joining us at another time because we had to do a mobile app versus laptop. And so it's just a whole thing. All right. But we are going to be bringing our guest Alexis to everyone soon. So I just thought I would take a few moments to kind of fill in some of the gaps around the topic that we were going to discuss, overall the business of books, of writing, of being able to monetize that particular portion of your intellectual property. So many things that I think we miss when it comes to writing. That's just money that we leave on the table, right? Writing really allows us to connect with a certain audience and kind of grow that audience, increase engagement. It really can help us to be better versions of ourselves because we can really tap into what the interests are of whoever it is that we're serving. So I liken it to a store. A store has a department store, for example. They may have clothing, they might have dishes, they might have perfume and, skincare items. They might have bathroom things, bedding, right? So when you think about your audiences, you want to be able to think about how can you increase the offerings that you have for your audience, really making it convenient for them to think about you and be top of mind for more than one category, right? So maybe I have perfume, right? And I just think, I'm just going to focus on perfume, which I'm not saying that's not a bad thing. But, what if I have t shirts? Or I have some bags that go along with the perfume, or hats, or shoes, or socks, right? Different things that allow me to be top of mind, more so than just one item. Now, we can focus on one key thing, but then branch out to other things, right? It's like a coach who might only coach women, and over time there's men or students or different categories of people that don't necessarily require the coach to change what it is that they coach on, but it expands the audience that they serve because it begins to be a situation where it can cross pollinate into different markets. So for example, we are going to be starting a new book on Clubhouse. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Clubhouse app or not. But the book we're doing is Unreasonable Hospitality by Will Gadero. Now, he did an interview with Oprah So you can go on YouTube and listen to this interview, but this is basically talking about food and restaurants. He was the manager, or I don't even know the jargon, but over 11 Madison Park, which is in New York, it went from number 50 in terms of restaurants, top restaurants in the world, to number 1. Okay. And he got it through this philosophy of unreasonable hospitality. So although it's talking about um restaurants and food and service, we can still apply a lot of these principles to whatever it is that we do. Okay, so, oh, April, you read the book? All right. So she said that she really got a lot out of it. It's all about seeing and hearing the person that is in front of you. I think one of the things that I have grown to appreciate about the Clubhouse app, if you're not familiar, it's an audio app, and you can download it in your store, whether Google or Apple. But it's strictly audio. And so you have your profile picture, you can do a bio and everything, but it's just a conversation app. But one of the things that I have learned about that through this app and what it's taught me about active listening, right? Not listening to be the first one to make a response, but really listening to people so that you can connect with them, right? You're not able to see their facial expressions, their mannerisms, or get a feel for, what some of their interests are in the background, because you only have their voice that you're using. And so it really requires you to sometimes even take notes, right? One person is talking at a time. So sometimes if there's a really good point that you don't want to forget, you just jot it down, because it's not a situation where you can just talk over people, which some people do, but it just it messes up the flow of the conversation, because it's not just you that's in the conversation. It might be up to 10 or 12 people that are on stage. And so it's important for you to be able to actively listen and continue the conversation in a way that's meaningful for everybody. So when it comes to active listening, it's really keying in on the points that people are saying, but also what they're not saying. I have been able to really build some great relationships with people because I hear what they may not be saying. You can feel what someone is trying to convey to you when you are fully present. And so eliminating distractions and, really focusing on the conversation, that's something that we can do in our everyday life, whether we're on the app or not. And a lot of times it's the apps that are distractions instead of us really engaging eye to eye and seeing all that body movement or what people may be thinking so that we can connect with them on what they may not be saying. I remember it's probably been a couple years ago now, but I made a new connection. And this woman was a founder of a magazine. Her husband was a retired professional basketball player, and she's really into fashion. So we met for lunch, and I had another engagement right after our lunch. So I just thought I'd meet her at a new place that's kind of close for where my next function was. And so we connected. We sat there. I ordered something. She didn't even order anything. She just had water. She put her phone away. We were there for, I want to say, maybe an hour and a half. And not once did she look at her phone. Now, that was so impressive for me because out of all the things that she's doing, she had the ability to put it all on pause in order for us to have this lunch. So I just thought this was truly an eye opener experience around being able to connect with people. Being intentional about that, because it's really important. So, when we think about active listening and really being able to connect with people, we really need to think about and reflect within ourselves, what are some things that's stopping me from being able to actively listen to people? And so sometimes it's just a matter of, quieting ourselves and allowing them to share. Now, we can get this insight through comments on our social media. We can get it through blogs, newsletters, um, articles, I mean, podcasts, the list goes on and on around all the different ways that we can get feedback and insight for other people. So when you think about the business of books or writing in general, these are great places that we can create an audience that we might serve that can continue to propel our business forward and also theirs as well. So, for example, let's say that you do newsletters, right? Or you're on Substack. Let's just take Substack since we're here for right now. You can have free content, but you also can have paid content. Certain things that maybe there's things that you teach people that are private to your community that pay you, right? Just simply on this app alone. When you do the app for free content, it's possible that you can create some type of affiliate or payment portal, for example, where people can give you articles that you share with your audience, whether it's free or paid, for a fee. Because you have curated this audience of subscribers or people that are supporting you. They really value what you say. And so being able to introduce people to them and share the spotlight, so to speak, on your platform, that's something of value, right? So if I had um, a puzzle that I created and I thinking, oh, it's going to be a great gift for Christmas, and I want to be able to find people that I could market this puzzle to, right? One of the ways to do that is to cross pollinate audiences or brand extension. And so brand extension simply is, me giving the opportunity for someone, if they had puzzles, to say, hey, I don't mind you sharing your puzzles with my audience, but because I have this audience that I've curated and created, it comes at a cost, right? There's a lot of times that we give things away that have value, right? So, just in the case of this book, Unreasonable Hospitality, Will went on the interview with Oprah because Oprah has podcasts. At the end of the interview, she gave the book to everybody that was there. Now, that's the brand extension. He goes on to have a podcast, but in the end, however many people were present that day for that interview live on the podcast in New York, they got a copy of the book. Now, you might not say, oh, that's just not that big of a deal, but this man is the New York Times bestseller because of distribution, right? It's being able to get in front of more people that are reading the book, talking about the book, sharing the book, all these different things. That's really what it's about. So when you think about monetization or really expanding your brand, scaling, growing, it is about visibility. Okay. Visibility happens through distribution. So, for example, with this Substack distributes your live broadcast on YouTube. You can distribute it on other social media platforms. Maybe you want to do it on Instagram. Maybe you want to do it on TikTok. You want to put clips there, right? It's all about showing up in different places so that different people may find out about you. Because at the end of the day, it is the more visibility you have, the more opportunity for people to learn about you and want to seek out your services or get your products, whatever it is that you might have available. So I got my degree in marketing from Indiana University. Just want to shout them out. They were national football champions last year. So, I just got to put that plug in. But one of the things that I would say about being a champion in real estate, what I learned through business, my degree was in marketing, but one of the things they say is location, 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 right? So now that we're in the digital age, it's still the same thing, location, 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 but location looks different now. We're not talking about a physical place. As you could see through the global pandemic, we had a lot of transition around things that were in person to now being um, pivoting over onto a digital platform. So if you were a speaker who did live events, during that time, during the pandemic, you had to modify how you showed up. And so it ended up where you had to get over the discomfort of being on video and share your knowledge that way. But now that we are post pandemic, digital has really taken off. You now buy your groceries online, you order clothing online, you can buy cars online. I mean, so many different things that we could do online that we just didn't even think was even possible. But I say that to say that's a part of the location, right? The fact that you can do things online, people can order anywhere from their cell phone, their laptop. Now you can order through your television if you have a smart TV. Sometimes you can order through your refrigerator, right? They got smart refrigerators. So there's so many different things that we can do around location, location, location. So being in that type of mindset, it's important to think about what locations are important to my audience, right? If I'm serving youth, the youth are on social media. So they're on TikTok, Instagram. There's some that are on Facebook. Facebook is getting a little bit more traction for the youth because of Instagram. Those two are related. But Substack, LinkedIn, right? You've got all these different places, Pinterest, that you could show up. Um, but even these little apps, like, my daughters are in cheerleading. So there's the band app, where you have your community of cheerleaders or, it could be school organizations. You've got Remind, which is another one. There's Class Dojo. I know about these only because I still have kids in school. But all these other ancillary apps, are all about location. And a lot of them now, they have ads on them, so much so that you just kind of go in the thread and you're thinking, oh my gosh, did I miss something? Is this a fundraiser we're doing? And it's an ad, so they're everywhere. So when you think about location, 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 it's about showing up different places to serve the same audience. You're not changing who you serve, but you may change how you show up, right? If I am, you think about McDonald's, they have all different types of commercials. They have some that appeal to the youth, the Happy Meal and all this kind of stuff, maybe the new cartoon creatures or whatever that are famous, if it's Spider-Man or whatever kind of movie theme that's out, Toy Story or something like that. So they appeal to the youth, but then they also appeal to the older audiences. Maybe they talk about healthy food options and they have salads, or maybe you're on the go and you need coffee. So they talk about the McCafe. So there's so many different things that they offer underneath one business, but their approach in terms of how they outreach with different ads is specific to a certain audience. And so it's the same way that we think about with our blogging, articles, podcasts, and things of that nature. Not that we're changing who we are, but we are showing versatility in how we show up in order to appeal to a larger audience, but still providing the same service. So just because I have more people that might find out about me, that doesn't mean I'm going to change the dynamics of me still being a TV producer. Just using that as an example, right? I'm not going to change my book, right? Because I get a larger audience. I'm not going to say, oh my gosh, I have a larger audience. Let me go write a different book. No, it's the same book. It's just appealing to a different audience. So, hopefully that makes sense. Well, I'm excited to hear from Alexis because she is going to help us learn a little bit more about ghostwriting, editing, coaching people when it comes to writing, mentoring, so many different things around the publishing format that really can help us because I know for myself, I had to get over the idea that Shakespeare was the only type of author that was of value. Right. I just thought, oh my gosh, I can't be Shakespeare because he is just like an icon, but that's just the person that I associated with writing, as I grew up in my academic career. So I just didn't see myself as an author. So what it took for me was a reframe to realize that I can't reach everybody that I want to around the value of overcoming depression, sharing my story. There's just not enough hours in the day or even time for me to share to the world like I would like to. So, a reframe for me was write your story because writing it allows people to see it in the future. Um, People that maybe currently might need to hear it, or sometimes it's just a matter of timing. I think back to all the things that I'm learning now. I feel like, oh my gosh, I can't learn enough. And it's not that anything is changing, it's just that I was changing, right? I just wasn't mature enough to hear the lessons that have been around me all the time. So I think it's so funny. I think, oh my gosh, talking to some of these people, if I had known now, at your age, I would just be in a totally different place. And it's like, it wasn't that the opportunity wasn't there, it's just that I wasn't listening. I was distracted by other things that I learn now really were not that important, right? Going to the next party, being popular or seen by certain people. These things, it is just so crazy how we can be influenced by circumstances that later on just don't even serve us, right? Um, so that really is a little bit of a summary around the business of writing and taking the opportunity to think about what are some articles that you might have written, some newsletters, blogs, podcasts that you've been on. These are great ways that you can think about repurposing some of those things into a book. You could do a poll with people that are in your network. Are they even interested? Or, before you even go down that rabbit hole. But a lot of times I think we are so busy creating new content all the time that we don't give time for the things that we've built to kind of do its magic, right? It's no different than, making a nice vegetable soup or a meat soup, right? Chicken noodle soup or whatever. Part of the um, appeal with the soup is for it to simmer for hours and everything to kind of infuse with that flavor. So, you may make the chicken first, set it off to the side, do your vegetables, kind of get a roux going with that. And then you want to add broth, and some people put cream in, then you want to put your noodles in. But it's this layering effect, right? And doing this over time in order for the soup to be finally complete, it takes time to get that done in order for it to last with the flavor and savor, right? And so a lot of times what we do is we just rush, oh, I want to do this. And we don't give it time to simmer or to get that layering effect. It's like a one and done. And you may post it on social media, but that day half your audience may not be on social media. So when it doesn't reach the number of people that you think it should reach, then you just consider it a fail and you move on to the next thing, instead of finding what are some other ways that I can um, get more out of this particular post that I did or article or whatever. And a lot of times we don't even poll our audience, you know. You can put something up on social media, but have you ever considered sending it in an email to your audience as well? Have you considered making it a newsletter? Same content, just different ways that you can share it, because different audiences get notified to see it, right? So I might have 5,000 connections on LinkedIn, but just because I make a post doesn't mean all 5,000 of those people are going to see it. Why? Because everybody is in the money making business. If you were doing ads, if you are a premium customer, all these layers give you more of a priority for them to share your content. And even then, they may not share it, right? So if we have a free account, where are we in priority with our stuff being posted and shared with everybody? I mean, this is something that we need to think about, right? And so thinking about different ways that you can multi-purpose those things. Even just having a conversation, you can do a video on a post that you made on Facebook. Oh, I did a post this week, and I talked about the idea of the business with writing. So you do a quick little clip or whatever. If you want to know more, check out my posts, right? So there's so many things that we are just thinking that everybody sees it, and not everybody may see it. So just want to remind you of that. So stay tuned. I will be posting the date for my guests to join me. And I do want to say that I do have a networking call that I do once a month. So I'm going to be putting that link here in the comments. It's an opportunity for me to connect with people that are span the different audiences that they connect with me on, whether it's Facebook, Substack, LinkedIn. So I will be putting a notification around that event, which is September the 2nd at 11 a.m. And it usually lasts an hour. We do a question of the day, but it's an opportunity to connect and network with different people. So be sure to register for that. And then also for World Suicide Prevention Day, this day is really important to me because, you know, overcoming depression, there are a lot of people that are not as fortunate as I am to be able to share their story, to overcome their challenges with depression without taking their own life. And so, this is something that's really important to me around being vocal. I don't care if I'm in a business room or some other room that may not be related to depression. I have a way of bringing it up because I think it's important, because a lot of people, like myself, suffer in silence. And for this World Suicide Prevention Day, I'm going to be joining the co founder of my clubhouse, Elephant Strategy House, Summer DeCoste. She is a pancreatic cancer survivor. She was given a 9% chance to live 8 years ago due to pancreatic cancer. And she had a procedure done that was a clinical trial, and she is still here 8 years later. But we have grown to journal over time. We have a practice that is called the Morning Pages, based on the book by Julia Cameron, The Artist's Way. And so, one of the things that she journaled for this year, in her 60th year, she wanted to do an art exhibit of her artwork. Now, she's been an artist as far back as she can remember, but it was a industry that her parents felt this is not going to pay. You're going to have to get a real degree with something, but you just can't pursue artistry because it's just not going to pay. You're going to be a starving artist, right? And so she's been drawing, calligraphy, all kinds of things. And so painting. And this is just a passion of hers. So she wrote this in her journal that on her 60th year, she wanted to do this art exhibit. Well, it just so happens that that exhibit is taking place September the 10th, World Suicide Prevention Day, and it is the eve of her 61st birthday. So the last day of her 60th year, she is doing this art exhibit. And she submitted six entries and they accepted all six. And so it's a great event that's going to be taking place in Virginia. So I'm really excited to attend this gala and support her. And I just want to share that if anybody wants to support with this because I think it's an important thing. I'll be putting a link in here as well. There will be a link where you can go and look at the artwork to see if there's anything that maybe you want to purchase. I'm not even sure if they do online bids or how that works or anything, but anything that you could do, even just sharing it, sharing the fact that, this is someone who has. Um, put on paper, what her vision was, and it is coming to pass. So I really want to thank everybody who has joined today, whether you're live or replay. If you have some ideas around books and writing and monetization with that, feel free to put it in the comments. I feel like we all learn together. April, really appreciate you being here, and I'm going to connect you with my guest so that you guys may be able to collaborate on some things. This is a practice that I started off with when I was doing Facebook Lives. Um, I would always make connections with those who made comments on the live as I was doing the broadcast. So if it was someone I was interviewing or if I was just doing it live in person, whatever it was that I was doing, that person or people were included with introductions because I feel like this is an event, right? So just because I'm the only one on camera doesn't mean that you're not here and present and attending as well. So I definitely want to make sure that I connect you with her because I appreciate your time, your comments, and engaging. It just really has made this a very beneficial time together. It's so funny when you're live, I'm just like in a room, the only one talking, and it's like, is anybody listening? Is anybody there? So I really appreciate it when I have guests. But it reminds me of Rachel Ray. Well, I used to watch Rachel Ray 30-minute meals, and I just think, oh my gosh, how does she talk for 30 minutes? I mean, she is just like so interesting, so engaging. How does she do it? And, now the tables are turned. I feel myself being able to do the same thing. So it was really exciting when I got a chance to meet her in person. Me and my daughter, we actually were flown to New York and we did a show on my daughter's birthday. And so she was the one who got to go with me because it was her birthday. But they came to our house and did a segment. And then they flew us to New York for the follow up segment. So it was really something to meet her in person. So you were so welcome, April, and thank you for being a guest as well. And I will put your episode up so that other people can learn about you and all the great things that you're doing because you're such an inspiration. And again, when we have our messages that we want to promote, that we want to share, it's important that we realize that we are like the spokesperson for that. And so it may sometimes feel like, oh, it's a broken record, but it's the one thing that people begin to know you for, right? And that's an important thing because there's so many people that come out with stuff every day. But the fact that they know how to categorize you means that they remember something about you. And so that's what's important. So thank you guys so much for being here today. Have a phenomenal weekend. And again, I will put the link here for this book club. It's every Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Clubhouse. So I'll be sure to put the link for that as well. So have an amazing day, and I look forward to seeing y'all again soon. Bye for now.